Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to take a look at this 2021 Jeep Wrangler Rubicon 392. Huge shout out to Sunstoppers for providing this vehicle for me today. They have a ton of locations, definitely check them out. I'll have that website down in the description. But as you can tell, this 392 is finished off in black with all the gold accents, and they have a base MSRP right around $75,000. And now moving on to what powers the 392. Underneath the hood, you'll find the 6.4 liter Hemi V8 engine. This is paired to the 8-speed automatic transmission, and it pumps out 470 horsepower around 6,000 RPM and 470 pound-feet of torque around 4,300 RPM. This features the full-time four-wheel drive system. It weighs in right around 5,100 pounds. It'll do 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds, up to its top speed just shy of 100 miles an hour, and it has a fuel capacity of 21.5 gallons. You'll expect to see around 13 miles per gallon in the city and 17 out on the highway. This has a wheelbase of 118.4 inches. Its overall length is 188.4. It has a width of 73.2. A height of 74.5 inches. Its ground clearance measures in at 10.3 inches, and it also has an approach angle of 44.5 degrees, a breakover angle of 22.6 degrees, and a departure angle of 37.5 degrees. As we work our way to the exterior now for this 392, let's start off with the functional hood scoop, because this does have a dual purpose. So not only will it provide better cooling to the intake, but this also has what's called the Jeep Hydroglide. So this will help separate any water from the intake if you're taking this off-road and water comes up over the hood. You'll also notice too, there's two bump stops right in the middle because you can fold the windshield down. Once you remove the wiper blades and a few bolts on the interior, you can fold that down and rest it on there so it's not touching any of the paint. You can also see the 392 badge as well as Rubicon finished with that bronze on the surround, which definitely gives it a really unique look, along with on the two front tow hooks. This also has the LED lighting package. So this has LED headlights, DRLs, and turn signals. You'll notice that the turn signals as well as some of the DRLs are over on the fender flares there. We have the circular DRL in the headlight housing itself. And this also has LED fog lights down in the lower section of the bumper, where you'll see you can also remove these end caps here. This is a steel bumper there. Definitely gives you a lot more protection, but you can remove those corners if you want a little bit better of an approach angle and you want to see even more of that tire. You can see the traditional 7 vertical slats running throughout the grille. Now the 392 has a 1-inch lift over the factory Rubicon. This 392 here has an additional lift, so we have around 2.5 inches. This has the aftermarket 35-inch tires with the factory 17-inch wheels. They are beadlock ready. You can see they have a bronze to them just to match the accents running throughout it. Gives it a really good design for this 392. You can see we have the addition of the rock sliders. They're also a power side step. So if I open up this door, you will see those retract, and when I shut the door, they will fold back up, but gives you a lot of protection when you're going off-road. You can use that as a rock slider. This 392 has the shorty antenna on it, and we have the My Sky roof, probably the best roof option you can get for this Jeep. That does come factory or standard on the 392. You can see the fender flares here also have an additional flare here for the larger tires to accommodate for them. And the back windows also come out. That's a part of having the My Sky roof. And then in the rear, you can see the backup camera right in the middle of the full-size spare. This also has the LED taillights. You can see all the backup sensors down in the steel bumper. This has the dual exhaust as well, and a towing capacity right around 3,500 pounds. But let's work our way to the interior now. You'll see on this handle here, we can lock and unlock the vehicle. And on this 392, we have a safe built into the tailgate. Really cool option. That's of course aftermarket. We can lift up the rear liftgate there, where you'll see the cargo area has a good amount of storage. There's tie-down hooks so you can secure any items. We have the Alpine sub over on that passenger side, as well as a little bit of storage space. You can see that over on the driver's side too, along with a 12-volt. Very usable space, and up underneath the floor, you even have more space with a drain plug over on that one side. So if you have any wet items, you can throw them in there, along with all the bolts for the doors, the windshield, the roof. You can put all of those down there so you don't lose them, which is a really nice touch. And then with the back seats folded down, you can see there's a lot more storage space for any items that you need to put in here, making this a very practical SUV. And then to close this, we'll just grab that window, put it all the way down. Even though we have the addition of the safe and the full-size spare, it's a very light swing gate, so you can easily close it up. And now let's work our way to the back seats. And then when I open up the back door, you can see the running board automatically deploy. On the door panel here, you can see leather and really nice bronze stitching. There's also a cargo net, and on the underside of the armrest is a grab handle, so you can utilize that to take the doors on and off as another place to grab the door. And at 5'10", it's time to work my way into the back. We have that step along with the grab handle up top, so it makes it very easy to enter and exit. You'll see with the front seat set at my height, I have plenty of room for my feet and my legs here. You'll see there's another storage net along with these small clips here, so you can put any small tools, any items that you want to place there. And as far as headroom goes, I have around 5 or 6 inches, so there's definitely a lot of headroom. Even with the roll bar running right through the middle here, where you can see a speaker on both sides, along with the dome lights right in the middle, it definitely gives you a lot of headroom, so you can be taller than me and still be comfortable. Right in the middle, you can see there is an armrest. All you have to do is pull on this latch here. You can bring that all the way down. We have 2 cup holders along with a small spot where you could place your phone. Same with this small area just behind that. And then with these headrests too, you can actually just fold down the headrest itself just to get a little bit more visibility if no one is in this back seat. And then obviously, as you saw earlier, you can fold these seats down, and you can see from this angle here, it provides you with all that extra storage. As we work our way to the middle now, you can see there's 2 air vents along with the window controls. There's also a 3-prong outlet, a little bit of storage space, and you have a little bit more on both sides there. So a nice amount of amenities for your backseat passengers. Now, before we work our way to the front seats now, this Wrangler does have remote start. So on the key fob here, if I lock it and double tap this button, we can hear that V8 come to life. And that is with the valves currently on. You can double tap that button if you need to shut it off for whatever reason. We'll get some exhaust clips here in just a second. You can lock and unlock it using that button there as well. And then on the door panel, you can see it's finished off just like the rear, although there's a lot more storage space in the lower section, along with lock and unlock and the side mirror adjustments. You can see Wrangler down on the door sill here. And then looking at these seats, I didn't talk about this in the back seats, but these are finished off in leather. You can see Rubicon 392 with more of that bronze stitching. Definitely gives it a cool look. And these are manual adjusting seats. So we have the recline and incline, as well as your height adjustment. We have the lumbar support, and then the bar in the front can slide this forwards and backwards. And it's just as easy to hop into as the back seats were. We have that grab handle. And now looking at the steering wheel, it's covered in solid and perforated leather with more of that bronze stitching. Gives it a really cool look, especially with all these trim pieces surrounding the 3-spoke design. Now it's time to fire this up again. We have that button over on the right side of the steering wheel, and with my foot on the brake, we can bring this to life. Coming back to this gauge cluster, you'll see over on the left side is the tach, as well as your indicator for your 4 high part-time, and 4 low. Over on the right side is the miles per hour. And front and center, we have an LCD screen to go through a ton of information using these buttons over on the left side of the steering wheel. So currently you can see the speedometer. There's also fixed information like the fuel gauge and the engine temperature. But if I scroll down now, you can go through a lot more vitals, so you can keep an eye on all of this information. Really nice to quickly be able to get to that. You can also look at your off-road, so you can see the degrees for the steering wheel as I turn that. And then there's also the pitch and the roll meter. You can look at the driver assistance. This does have adaptive cruise control. So we have those settings over on the right side of the steering wheel, along with the distance pacing. Really cool option to see for this Jeep. You can also look at the fuel economy, which isn't really important in a vehicle like this. You can look at your trip information as well, along with your audio and messages if you need to look at those. And then we're at the screen setup here. So you can go in and configure the compass as well as the outside temperature there, and basically pull up what you'd like to see the most. So if you like to see the compass or the time, just depending on what you like to see, you can pull those up. And then this also has steering wheel mounted paddle shifters. You can see those on both sides, as well as volume and tuning. Those are located just below each of those paddles on both sides. And then over on the left side of the steering wheel, you can see a speaker along with the headlight and fog light adjustments. There's some dimmer switches for the gauges. You'll see there's a speaker up on the dash with more of that stitching, a little bit of storage space front and center. And then on the 392, you get the largest screen option. This is the 8.4-inch touchscreen system. You'll see on the bottom are all of the presets, which are adjustable just depending on what you like to use. Currently, you can see we have the navigation here pulled up with all that information. You can go into media. If we go into climates here, you can go through all that information with the dual zone, the fan speed, where you'd like the air to go. If I go into controls, you can see the adjustments for your heated seats along with your heated steering wheel. We can even have a shortcut here for the backup camera, so you can see that up here with the guidelines as well. There's different apps that you can go into. Off-road pages is one of my favorites, and you can pull up a lot of information from your steering angle to your transfer case. You can look at if your front and rear lockers are locked or unlocked, along with your sway bar. You can go into all of these gauges here just to monitor that, as well as your pitch and roll, so you can pull this up in a fuller screen, which is really cool. Back to the navigation there, we have the phone when you have that paired, and then different settings to go into, just general information to configure this the way that you'd like to. And then as we work our way below that, you can see these 3 dials here finished off in this really nice brushed knob, which matches all the stitching. Those are aftermarket, of course. I think it's a great touch to see. But you can see with these knobs, we have volume, we have AC controls right in the middle, and then tuning for the radio is on the far right. You'll see shortcuts for the heated steering wheel and seats right in the middle, along with other AC controls. So if you're not on that system and the screen up top, you have all of these physical buttons to be able to do that. You'll see we have a screen off button, so you can turn that system off if you'd like to. Just next to that, this is actually the cruise control for off-road. So it's kind of like your downhill assist control. You can actually set it to half a mile an hour, a mile an hour. You can make it very specific. It's a really nice system to have. We have the parking sensors, which you can turn on and off, as well as your traction control. You can mute the audio, and then this is the fun button right here for your exhaust note. So as you already heard, there's a huge difference with that active system for this. You'll see below that there's a 12 volt on this one side. We have all the window controls right in the middle. And then on the right side, this is for your media. So we do have Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, but it is not wireless. So you do have to have it hooked up into this media location in order to play that. You can see all these auxiliaries down below. So if you have compressors, lights, anything extra, you have a really cool place to be able to quickly hook them up. So that is super awesome. Right in the middle, you can see this off-road plus button. You can also see the sway bar disconnect. We have the front and rear locker, or the rear locker only, which you can activate with that red dial there. Over on this left side, you can see our gear selector for 4 high part-time, and 4 low. And then over on the right side, this is obviously how you can go into reverse and drive. You can even shift using the shifter or those paddle shifters, which we'll show later on in today's video. There's a manual parking brake on the left side here with 2 cup holders and a little bit of space for your phone or the key fob. And then right in the middle with the leather wrapped armrest, we have 2 compartments. You have a little bit of storage space on the upper section and a lot more just underneath that. And then we do have the glove box where you have even more storage for all of those items. We'll take one last look at these seats here. And like I mentioned earlier, we have the My Sky roof. So you have that control right in the middle. All I need to do is push on this button, and this will retract all the way to just behind the backseat headrest. This is a phenomenal option to have for any Jeep Wrangler, really. This is an option on even some of the base models that you can get. I highly recommend this roof because it is so easy to do with the push of a button. And then you can also remove those side panels in the back cargo area, so you can really get that top-down experience without actually removing the entire roof. And then with the push of a button, we can close this and bring it all the way back. You can do this while driving as well. So that is a really cool option. It is a little bit pricey. It's standard on the 392. All right, so as we get the Jeep Wrangler 392 Rubicon out on the road, I forgot to mention too that this model here has some window tint. We have it on the windshield, and we even have it on the front glass. The rest of it will be getting done soon by sun stoppers, obviously. And I highly recommend window tint, especially the windshield, because it definitely blocks a lot of that sun rays. And I've noticed a huge difference in my own vehicle. So if you guys are in the market for window tint, definitely check out sun stoppers. And now this is the second time that I've been able to get behind the wheel of the 392. Let's give it a little bit of gas in that performance setting here. Wow, it never gets old with that performance exhaust. That is definitely how you need to drive this Wrangler. Now, one thing that's really cool is the fact that the exhaust note button there actually will stay in the position that you last had it. So I currently have it on. If I shut this off, start it back up, it will still be in the on position. So that's really awesome to see. And then just driving the Wrangler in general, I do have some heavy traffic here today, but the Jeep Wrangler is a cool vehicle. And the fact that they decided to stuff in a Hemi V8 into this four-doored vehicle that you can take the roof off, you can take the doors off, you can take this off-road. Now we have a V8 engine. I will say it's a little bit better in just straight line performance. They didn't really do anything as far as the suspension to handle turns. Now this is not a performance SUV in those aspects, but I know a lot of Jeep people love having the bigger engine to sustain having larger tires. So the owner of this one already went up to 35s. You could probably have 37s, maybe even go to 40s, and you have the power for it from that V8 engine. So that is really cool to see. And I want to give it another acceleration here. I'll just go into normal mode. Nothing too crazy for what I'm able to do today. I noticed that when you have it on, I'm not going to say there's a drone to it, but you can hear the exhaust a lot more. Now Wranglers aren't the most insulated, obviously, because you can take everything off. They're not bad though. I used to own a Jeep Wrangler and I loved it. So I'm not bad talking it in that regard. It's just kind of what to be expected with having a Wrangler. But that exhaust note is awesome to hear. If you're wanting to hear that exhaust tone, this is definitely the Wrangler to get. Now let's go ahead and move on to taking the roof off here. I believe once you get past the headrest for the front seats, it's automatic from there. There we go. So then from there, it'll go the rest of the way. And just like that, with the push of a button, you can have that open top experience, which I think is so cool. You don't have to worry about where you're gonna store the hardtop roof. You can get the soft top, which just folds backwards, of course. But with this option here, rain or shine, you can leave for the day and know that you have a roof to put on if it starts to rain, however the weather is going to act for the day. And wind noise just around town is not that bad. Highway, obviously it's gonna be a little bit louder, but it's still reasonable for a convertible. And now as far as visibility goes for the Wrangler, it's really easy to see all around. We have a ton of glass, so there's really no blind spots. You can easily see over your left shoulder out of that window for the cargo area there. Not much of a pillar with the back of the hardtop there. And then talking about this interior, while we're at a stoplight, it's a Wrangler. It's very nice for what it is. We do have some really nice trim accents. I love the surround for the center screen because it is a little bit more water resistant. If you have the top down or something, water gets in here. Perfect for those situations. And then even with these 35-inch tires, the truck has no problem getting up to speed and it tracks really nice. These are the Nitto Ridge Grapplers, which I've been a huge fan of. I've had those on multiple vehicles. I even had those on my own Jeep Wrangler. So the Jeep Wrangler 392 Rubicon is really the big boy as far as having all that horsepower. If you still want a Wrangler, but you want the sound of that exhaust, you want the big beefy engine with 470 horsepower, this is the Wrangler for you. You can still take it off-road. We have all of those capabilities, all of this tech, even the adaptive cruise here, which is a really cool feature, especially for a hardcore off-roader like this, that you can also daily drive. It's practical. It's a really nice vehicle to have. But that's gonna wrap it up for this walk-around review and test drive behind the wheel of the 2021 Jeep Wrangler 392 Rubicon. So once again, huge shout out to Sunstoppers for providing this vehicle for me today. They have a ton of locations. Definitely check them out down in the description below. And if you enjoyed today's video, give it a huge thumbs up. Consider smashing that subscribe button so you don't miss out on our daily uploads. And I'll see you guys in the next video.